All right, welcome back for part two of the unit conversions video. All right, so in our example here, we're going to work with time to figure out how to convert from one unit to another. In example problem one, we have 9.45 hours. We're going to utilize the 5 steps from the previous video and convert 9.45 hours to seconds. Now, we can do this with any kind of unit. We can do it with distance or time or mass or whatever, but time is easy to work with. The most important of the 5 steps and the hardest step is the first step, which is making a plan. The plan outlines how we're going to turn one unit into another. Here we want to turn 9.45 hours into seconds, and the process is a little more complicated than it might seem. I brought the conversion factors for time from the notes here so you could see them. You probably already know them, but just in case they're there anyway. Our plan always starts with the information given in the problem, which in this case is 9.45 hours. All right, so I'm going to go down here and I'm going to write plan, and I'm going to start it with 9.45 hours. Every time you do one of these problems, you want to do the same thing. You're going to be given some information and you want to start with that. We cannot convert directly between 9.45 hours and seconds because we don't know how many seconds are equivalent to 1 hour. If we did know that, we could convert 9.45 hours directly into seconds. What we do know is that there are 60 minutes in 1 hour and that there are 60 seconds in 1 minute. So our plan is to convert 9.45 hours to minutes and then convert minutes to seconds. All right, so that's extremely important. Don't forget to make the plan. The arrows mean we're turning one unit of measurement into another. A problem might have one arrow or lots of arrows. Typically, really complicated problems might have 4 arrows or more. Steps 2 through 5 are easy. Step 2 is to create what I call a conversion table. Under each arrow, we draw a vertical line. So we have 2 arrows, we get 2 vertical lines. 1, 2. And we draw one big horizontal line through them all. Here we go. Steps 3 and 4 take care of the algebra that underlies the concept of unit conversions, so make sure to pay close attention to them. The plan we created in step 1 sets up the units for the top of the conversion table. After our units are on the top of the chart, we drag them down and to the right. The only unit that doesn't go down and to the right is the unit at the top right-hand box. That unit will be our answer. All right, so let's do that now. The units for our plan become the top of our chart. 9.45 hours goes here, minutes goes here, and seconds goes here. That bit about dragging the units down and to the right is important. It really can't be skipped. So if hours is here, it goes down 1 box and to the right there. If minutes is here, and sure enough it is, it's got to go down 1 box and to the right there. Oh, my kids are coming home. Not good. All right. And then the next thing we do is we look for the ratio of how many minutes are equivalent to how many hours. And we know that right here. Right? So we know that right there. 60 minutes is equivalent to 1 hour. Same thing for seconds and minutes. How many seconds are equivalent to how many minutes? It's 60 seconds is equivalent to 1 minute. Right? Easy peasy, easy peasy. If you didn't know these off the top of your head or you're working with some weird problem, you could look them up on a table or your teacher's probably going to give them to you. All right, so the last thing we got to do here is the math. And the math is the easiest part. Usually people go, oh no, the math. But no, this is really easy. All we do is we multiply the numbers at the top together and then divide by the numbers on the bottom. So we do 9.45 times 60 times 60, divide by 1, and that's our answer. That's it. All right, so let's go ahead and do that now. 9.45 times 60. Whoa. And I'm failing to use a calculator appropriately here. Divide by 1, and I get about 34,020 seconds. 34,020 seconds. Okay, all right. Perfect. All right, so the reason we drag the units down and to the right is because this is just like math. If two things are the same on the opposite side of a division line, and our big line going left and right is a division line, then they cancel. So hours and hours are going to cancel. Minutes and minutes are going to cancel. And the only unit left over is seconds, and that's good because that's what we want. We want our answer to be in seconds. All right, so that's why they go down and to the right. It's extremely important that you just make that simple. If you see a unit like ours here, it goes down one box and to the right there. Don't overcomplicate it. All right, so for example 2, figuring out unit conversions, we're going to stick with time. And we're going to see how old you are in years. So how many years old were you when you were 100 million seconds old? All right, so again, we're going to need these conversion factors up here. Because again, these all have time in it and we need to use them. Maybe you're significantly older than you think or significantly younger than you think. I really don't know. I've never done this problem before, so it should be exciting. How many seconds old were you when you were 100 million seconds old? All right, so we follow the same process as before. We make our plan. Right now I have the plan written as turning 100 million seconds straight into years. I don't think we can do that though because I don't know how many seconds are equivalent to 1 year. I have no idea. If you do, then good on you. So I'm going to erase the years part here. And we've got to go ahead and do something else. How am I going to get my unit of seconds and get that turned into years? That's a tough one. Well, I don't know how many seconds are in a year, but I do know how many minutes are in a second. So if you're ever stuck, just start there. Start where you know. Do I know how many minutes are in a year? No. I know how many minutes are in an hour, though. All right, so we're getting closer, I think. Do I know how many hours are in a year? Nope, I sure don't, but I know how many hours are in a day. And look at that, I know how many days are in a year. So we can double check that with what's above. Do I know how many seconds there are in 1 minute? Yeah, I do. It's right here. It's this guy right here. So yeah, I'm good to go there. Do I know how many minutes are equivalent to how many hours? Yeah, it's right here. What about between hours and days? Yes, that one is right here as well. And then days and years, for sure, it's right there. So I'm good to go. I now have pretty much everything I need. My plan is made, and then I proceed to the next step. The next step is to look at your plan and go, oh, okay, under each arrow I draw a vertical line. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yikes, this looks like a complicated problem. Now that our arrows are drawn, we're going to go ahead and make a horizontal line through it all. All right, to make our chart. And that's not a very good horizontal line. I think I can do a little better than that. There we go, it's a little better. All right, the plan we made is going to become the top of our chart. So 100 million seconds is our first box. Minutes is our next box. Hours looks like it's this one. Days looks like it's this one. And then the last one should be years. So you're literally just taking your plan and copying it to the top of your chart. Do not forget that. It's extremely important that you don't. All right, now we got to look at our units. Just like from the previous problem, we're going to take whatever unit is here and then drag that unit down and to the right. So seconds should go right here. All right, so I'll put it there. And then we kind of keep doing that same thing. All right, so if I've got minutes here, minutes should go here. If I've got hours here, hours should go there. If I've got days here, days should go there. All right, and then do we have anything else after that? Nope. We have equals because we want to get an answer out of this. The last unit in the top right-hand box is years. That's probably going to be our answer. If you remember the start of the problem, we were looking for that, so yep. Now we look for the ratio of minutes and seconds. So if you know this, you can just write it. If you had to go look at a table somewhere or something like that, you could do that. But you probably know it. 1 minute is equivalent to 60 seconds. Right? So same thing. What's the relationship between minutes and hours? 1 hour is equivalent to 60 minutes. What about days and hours? 1 day is equivalent to 24 hours. The last one is 1 year is equivalent to roughly 365.25 days if you account for leap year. It's around there, plus or minus a little bit. All right, the last part of the problem is to do the math. And this is where people get a little bit confused sometimes. I think it's the easiest part, but the basic idea here is you multiply the numbers at the top together, which in this case is a little bit weird. It's 100 million times 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, and then you divide by the numbers at the bottom. So we want to divide that by 60, divide by 60, divide by 24, and then divide by 365. So what I want you to do is to grab a calculator. I'm going to grab my own calculator and I'm going to do the same thing. And I want you to kind of mess around with yours and then see if you come up with the same number as I do. So 100 million divided by 60, divided by 60, divided by 24, and then divided by 365.25. And my answer is about 3.1688 years. 1688 years. And if you want to round that to a different place, maybe you want to round that here, that's fine. It doesn't really matter. What I want you to know is how to put this into your calculator. I want you to know how to set up the plan, and I want you to know how to put in all the numbers. But that should be your answer. When you were 100 million seconds old, you were around 3.1688 years old. So that's the idea. You can do this with any unit on the planet, right? So most of these problems are going to be one arrow or two arrows. They're not going to be 4, 5, 6 arrows like this second example. That one was quite a hard one. Most of them are just 1 or 2 arrows, and they're not that bad. Trust the process, follow the steps, and you're going to do great.